Hello and welcome. You are listening to episode 129, and today my guest is Sarah. Sarah and her mom Ellie traveled to Walt Disney World right after Hurricane Milton hit. I just wanted to give a note that for some reason the audio on this episode just is not as clear as it typically is. I had to use a new recorder, so please excuse that. Otherwise, this is a fantastic episode. Welcome to Disney Travel Tales. I am your host, Jenny, and I am very thankful you are here today. This podcast is designed to help you plan the most magical Disney vacation, whether it be visiting Walt Disney World, Disneyland, or a Disney cruise. You will hear trip reports, news, and I will do my best to help keep you up to date on all things happening in the parks. Not traveling to Disney anytime soon? Then we're still the podcast for you. Sit back, relax, and immerse yourself in all things Disney. If you're ready to plan a trip, I would love to help you. Email me at jenny@trolleylanetravel.com and let's get the conversation started. Don't forget to follow the show on Instagram and Facebook at Disney Travel Tales. And with that, let's get to today's show. Hi, thank you so much for being on the show again. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me another time.
So you just got back, literally just got back from Disney World with your mom, and y'all had a very interesting trip. I'm so excited.
Sure did. Yeah.
So before we get started, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience with Disney vacations?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my name's Sarah, as you mentioned, and I have been I'm a West Coast girly, so I've been mostly going to land my whole life. My mom and I used to have a joke that we would go every 2 years to Disneyland from the time I was maybe 14 or something like that. But my very first time going to Disneyland was when I was 7. And so I don't know how many times that makes it, can't count. But then last year in August was like the first time we really went to Disney World. And I had this awesome opportunity this year to come to Miami for a work conference. So we managed to squeeze in a couple-day trip this time. So that's where I'm at.
I mean, when you are from the West Coast and you're in Florida, you have to go to Disney.
Yeah, I gotta take the opportunities when I get them. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what were the dates of y'all's trip?
Well, the original dates of our trip are different than the dates we actually ended up going for. But originally we were going to get in on the 10th of October, and then we were going to leave on Sunday the 14th, I believe that was. So that was the Disney part of my trip anyway.
Yes. And then Hurricane Milton decided that he was going to, hit Florida kind of out of nowhere and a little bit surprisingly.
Yeah. And so interestingly, in addition to my work conference, which was going to start on the 15th after the Disney trip, before the Disney trip, my mom and I also decided to go on a cruise. And this was the first time that I had ever been on a cruise, never been on a cruise before. My mom had only been on one other cruise before. And honestly, I was a bit scared to try to go on one since COVID happened and everything. So many people got stranded. So I had a lot of fear going into that part of the trip. And we were at port in Grand Turk when we were hearing the news that Milton was going to be right in that direct path. And, even though it was thinking about landing near Tampa and making its way through kind of Orlando area, lots of stuff in Miami where our port was getting affected too, just in preparation. They need a chance to evacuate, to prepare themselves. So, forcing people to come in to just do their job, is something that most of the state, I think, kind of suspended for the couple days right there when we were in the middle of the ocean. So I think that was the day that was Wednesday that we were in Grand Turk, and that's sort of when we were like, hey, I think we need to, I think American actually canceled our flight from Miami to Orlando was what we were going to do. We were going to get in from the cruise on Thursday and then go to the Miami airport and just do this quick little hop flight up to Orlando was our original plan on Thursday. Disney had not yet at that time canceled the parks. They were still trying to remain open, although I think that they had maybe closed Wednesday night. But then throughout the next 24 hours from then, it slowly got a later and later time that Milton was going to make that landfall. So we were trying to adjust a little bit on our end. And our initial thought was, well, if they're going to cancel that, we're not going to make it to any of it. We're just not going to be able to get to Orlando at all. No idea what was going on. And I was like, well, what if we just don't try to get to Orlando on Thursday? What if we just give it to Friday and just hope that maybe on Friday we'll try to do that? But then because of all the delayed flights from Thursday, everything was getting rescheduled to Friday, and we honestly couldn't even find a Friday flight at that time. So we were going to try to take the train, the Bright Line, which I had actually heard about a couple months ago and thought about doing, but it is still 3 hours of travel versus the 1 hour of flight. So we didn't pick it at that time, but it seemed like our only option. So for a little while there, we made this whole rescheduled plan. We were also supposed to go to the Halloween party that was happening on Thursday night, which Disney did end up canceling, but we had already figured that we weren't going to be able to make it to that one. So we also had to cancel that. Yeah, so it was just like crazy going on Wednesday. We were all like trying to sit on the beach and have a beach day. We're like, no, the rest of the weekend is falling apart. But then that Thursday, so the end of the day on Wednesday into Thursday, we were supposed to go straight back to, I guess that actually must have been Tuesday, because Wednesday was supposed to be our full at sea day on the cruise. So there was nothing else happening except for being at sea. But I actually got extremely ill on the cruise during that time. No. Yeah. So I was going into this Disney trip extremely ill. I was on antibiotics. I had to go to the cruise ship doctor. It was insane.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And while I'm sitting there in the throes of being ill, the captain comes on our cruise ship boat and tells us we're not docking on Thursday. We're going to try to dock on Friday, which was great that we were in port and had signal and such when we were trying to do all the rescheduling, because if we had to be doing that on the boat, it would have been impossible. But luckily, we had planned appropriately. So we did end up docking on Friday. I got much, much better. I was not actively experiencing sickness, but when you go on antibiotics, you have to take them on like for an extended period of time at regular times. So making sure that we found food at explicit times was a problem for the rest of the weekend.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But no, we did eventually dock on Friday, so everything was fine there. And we docked at like the same time that we should have docked on Thursday. We docked on Friday, so the boarding process was just a full 24 hours delayed. I'd never disembarked from a cruise before, but it was super easy. It took us 15 minutes, so it was not like a big, long, complicated process like I was scared it might be. And nothing seemed awry. The whole city seemed fine. Some of the workers were like, yeah, it was a ton of rain, but you really couldn't tell. It wasn't like there was huge devastation or anything. So that was lucky. We heard getting off that Milton had decided to drop from like a category 4 down to a 2 before it even made landfall or something. So that was really lucky for everybody who was in the path of it at all. So we were grateful that nothing more catastrophic happened, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but so then we docked and everything. It was looking up. It was fine. It was like mid-morning. I already took my antibiotics in the morning, so I didn't have to worry about them till the evening again. And we were hoping at some point that Disney would try to transfer our Halloween party ticket from Thursday to Friday. And we did actually overhear someone in the park that they did get to do that, but it seemed arbitrary. Like they wouldn't let us do it, but some people did. Maybe it was just who called in first. I don't know. But the Halloween party was up. Everything was fine going on Friday. So we made our way to the train station to take the train, and we went there. We got to the train station at like 9:45 in the morning. Our train didn't leave until 2 or 3 p.m. and we were at the train station for 30 minutes. Lovely people working there let us in way early. I guess they're only supposed to let you in 2 hours before your train. We were like, what are we going to do with all of our luggage for hours and hours? So we just went, and they were so kind and nice and helpful there at the train station. And we were sitting there for maybe 30 minutes, and they canceled our train. And they canceled the train after that.
That's what I was so worried about, is that these gosh.
Yeah. And we still don't know why. Our assumption is that something happened to the tracks because of the hurricane, or they were just trying to double check it or whatever. But we got there and it still said on time. Everything was fine. It's just that as that 30 minutes to 45 minutes or so we were sitting there, they canceled it. And we were like, well, now we can't even get in until like midnight if we take the third train that was going there for the day. So I was like, let's just look up what flights exist, see if anybody dropped out of their rescheduled flight. And there was, in fact, the same flight that we had originally planned to take on Thursday. It was now available for that same time on Friday, which was at like 1 p.m. So we still had plenty of time to get to the airport and all of that. So we just did it. And throughout this haul, I feel really bad for we got the, I'm forgetting what it's called, but the private car rental that you recommend, Jenny.
Yes, Plush Transportation.
Yes, they were lovely, but we were having to email them 30,000 times every time our arrival time changed. It was like, sorry, it's 3, sorry, it's 9, sorry, it's about the train station. Now it's by the flight again.
Yeah.
But they were excellent. They never once thought about it. I think everybody there is so unfortunately used to that kind of, response to natural disasters in that way that everybody just has a ton of patience, and it was super kind about it all. But yeah, we successfully made it onto the plane. The flight was scheduled to take, like on the app or whatever, it said it was an hour and 20 minutes, but it was actually 35 minutes that we were
Wow.
So it was super fast.
It's like,
I recommend. Yeah. Plus, when we were originally going to take the train and it was going to be 3.5 hours, it's like now we've just, so we ended up getting in. The driver picked us up excellently from the airport, no problems. And then we did our little 30-ish minute drive into Disney World property, which is always so fun. You go through the Welcome to Walt Disney World sign. You just get all excited. And we were staying in Port Orleans Riverside this time, which we had not seen or experienced before. But we drove up and it was so charming. I loved it. It's such a great property. It's huge, of course, the property, but it's just, I don't know, it's just cute. The buildings aren't very tall. Like there's not a million stories to each building. And so it just feels quaint. I've never been to New Orleans, so I can't compare, but I could feel the energy that they were going for just in driving up. So that was really great. We had checked in ahead of time on the app, but they didn't give us a room number yet by the time we got there. So we did have to stop by the front desk for a moment and get that sorted out. I also asked for the luggage tags, and they gave me the free luggage tags.
People always forget to ask for this because they used to mail them, and they don't mail them anymore.
Yeah, and he said technically that they're only actually supposed to be given if you're getting a certain kind of package. He didn't say what that was, but I didn't get a package, so he just gave them.
Interesting. I am gonna find out.
Yeah.
Because none of my clients get them. I don't even get them for my trip. So I don't know what package he's talking about.
Yeah. So maybe he was talking about the mail, but no mail. Strange. Yeah. Anyway, just checking off all my notes here so I don't get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then we went to our room, and our room was in the section of the property where the North Depot was the bus stop that was closest to us. I don't know if other people know, but you can only get to and from this resort by bus or Lyft or whatever. But there's not. The monorail doesn't go. The Skyliner doesn't go. So we were bus girlies. And every time I'm like, Jenny hates the bus. What are we going to do? And Mom was like, but last time we were here, the bus showed up immediately when we got to the stop and we got on and got off in 2 seconds flat. So we were doing it. And yeah, but it was very close actually to the bus stop. You couldn't see the bus stop quite from our room, but it was not a very far walk at all. And they do have north, south, east, and west depots, I believe. Or the east one's like not called East or something. But yeah. So
what did y'all think about your room?
Yeah, the room itself was pretty good. The weirdest part about it, which some hotels just do this, it's not that like unique, but just that the double sinks had just a curtain separating them from the rest of the room, but then the actual toilet and shower part had a door, but there was like hardly actually enough room to move around in the toilet and shower section when the door was closed. If you left it open, NBD, it was fine. It was real small in there to try to, maybe get changed while you're just getting out of the shower or something. We pretty much just operated with the curtain closed the whole time so that we could have that extra bathroom space. But when you did have the curtain closed and that's the way you decided to do it, it was great. It was huge. So interesting choice, but fine.
This is an older, moderate resort. The rooms have been updated, but the actual floor plan obviously hasn't. Those bathrooms are so tight. I love small. This resort, but it is almost hard to get in the bathroom and close the door.
Yeah. So that was the main thing that I thought. The other thing that my mom didn't really love is that all of the windows faced the walkway. And so if you wanted to have like the window open for some natural light or get some fresh air, I didn't even know if they actually opened. I didn't even try, but you would have to risk the fact that people might just be walking by, which is not the world's most awesome thing.
Right.
Yeah, but we got our 2-queen bedroom and it was plenty of space to walk around the beds. Some issue with the TV, the streaming situation, trying to like cast from our phones or a tablet to the TV. It wasn't really working in our room. I guess maybe the casting method is undergoing some kind of updates. And so they actually have it suspended, but they haven't updated the graphic that says cast from your phone. Mm-hmm. So you just do it and then it pops up and says there's an error. It's like, cool. So yeah, it was fine. And honestly, I feel like our perspective was slightly more positive because we had just been on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
so we were like living in this little tiny box and this room was like, 3 times the box we had been living in. So I thought it was fine. It was really perfectly acceptable. And especially for a moderate resort, I really couldn't complain.
Yeah.
So yeah. But that was great. We must have gotten in around 3 or so, and all of our devices were dying and everything. So we took a little bit of a break and was charging them. And we were sitting there kind of being like, so what are we going to do? Are we going to go to Disney Springs? Normally you can have a boat from Port Orleans Riverside to Disney Springs. It was closed the entire time we were there. I suspect is because it flooded the river too much, and so it wasn't really safe or something. They didn't really explain. When we first checked in, they said it was only closed that day and that it would reopen the next day, but then it never did. So we never did it.
The water levels have to be perfect for that boat to run. So they were probably thinking the water would go down, and it probably just didn't.
Ah, okay. That does make sense then, yeah. But since we couldn't do that, we did think about going to Disney Springs. That was kind of our original plan when we did this whole rescheduling snafu earlier in the week. But we were like, well, we were going to go to the party, but if the party's not available, we could just go to the park. And so we just all of a sudden at 3 p.m., an hour before we were going to go, bought a single day pass to Animal Kingdom and just decided to go to Animal Kingdom because I've always wanted to really see Pandora at night. I heard one time once that it was really cool, but then we never have been when sunset has been early enough for it to actually be nighttime. Last year it was 6 p.m. or so was when they closed, and sunset still wasn't till 7:30 or 8. It seemed to be around 6:30 this time during our trip, and Animal Kingdom wasn't closing until 8 p.m. So It was a nice little, got that little sneaky hour in there. But yeah, so we did all that. So we went down to the bus stop, which was a little bit confusing to try to find because we'd forgotten to look at the map before we left the room. So we left the room, got down the stairs. We were on the second floor, got down the stairs, and we were like, now what? But we figured it out. It really wasn't that far away. Once we did it once, it was easy to remember for sure. I have listed here that the bus was listed to arrive at 4:32, but we didn't arrive until 4:38. So it was a little bit delayed, but 6 minutes. And then it did take 20 minutes, plus or minus a couple minutes, to actually get to Animal Kingdom on that bus. So it was a little bit of a bus ride, not nothing, but it was fine. And we learned throughout the rest of the trip, but starting this time, that apparently everybody gets off at the stop before the North Depot. I think it's the West Depot. And so by being at the North Depot stop, we always got a seat on the bus. Nice. Every time. So that was kind of cool. And it was empty when we got on, like just fully almost no people.
That's great to know.
It was excellent. I don't know where everybody at West Depot is getting on, but they're all getting off there. So, yeah. And so then once we got our tickets and we were waiting for the bus, we also got the multi-pass, the Lightning Lane multi-pass, which of course is still relatively new and definitely was our first time trying to use it. We got one for the Kilimanjaro Safari, which my mom loves. She's a big fan. And Everest and Dinosaur. Dinosaur being Disney World's Indiana Jones, which I guess they're going to turn it into that or something. Yes. I heard some rumors. So excited. Can't wait.
So exciting.
But the ride mechanic itself is still our favorite. So we always have to go on that. But it was also time for me to take some freaking antibiotics again. And so when we first showed up, we got those for, I didn't write down the exact times, but they were all between like 5:30 and 7. And so when we first showed up, it was about 5 then, and we went to the Flame Tree Barbecue to get the pulled pork mac and cheese, which was so good. We are not big fans of coleslaw, so you can choose to take that off. And it was so easy to just, in the mobile order section, say no. It was ready in 2 seconds flat, so you didn't have to wait. And there was a seat at this dining area, which I couldn't even see. I didn't even know they had a dining area. So I was like fully prepared to eat on top of the trash can. Didn't have to. So that was great. I also had forgotten from last time that they do the Blue Powerade there, and I am a huge Blue Powerade fan. Specifically that black labeled one. There's a white labeled Powerade. It's not as good. Oh, interesting. Yeah, but I like that one. So I was guzzling those all weekend. So then we ate, and then we walked to the safari, the, furthest away possible point that we could basically get. And we saw at 5:30, I think that's around about their dinner time, actually, which I had learned was a good time to go on the safari. And we saw 3 or 4 elephants, 3 or 4 of the giraffe. We saw 2 cheetah, all the savanna animals were out, the cattle, the wildebeest, all of that. We saw a couple of the, what are they, the Nile hippos or whatever, and the Nile crocodiles there. And then when we rounded around to the lion enclosure, both of the lions were sitting there facing the path. We saw the girl and the boy. It was excellent. And then as we sort of rounded, it's like a circle, we rounded the corner there, the girl got up and followed us around so that we could see her again on the other side when they would have normally been blocked. So the male lion was roaring up a storm. Our, what do you call him? The tour guide,
Uh-huh.
the person driving the car, kept trying to tell us stuff, and then the lion would roar, and she's like, "Do you have more to say? Is there anything else there?" So that was
That's so
really,
cool.
yeah, it was a unique, a cool. We had seen pretty much all of them the previous time last year when we went too, because we went first thing in the morning. It was like 9 or 10 or something in the morning, but they were less sleepy even this time, I think. So that was
Yeah,
cool.
I always try to do, if I'm there in the evening, the last safari, because that's the best luck I've ever had with actually seeing the animals up walking around like ready to go for the evening.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super cool. So then, yeah, we did that. Not that we needed a lightning lane. It was so empty. We could have just walked on and it would have been the same weight, which is fine. Whatever. Might as well use it if you've got it.
Yeah, because you never know.
You never know. Right. So then we walked over to Everest, made our way around the park that way. And our lightning lane was at 6:15, and we got in there just right at 6:15, basically. And then by that point, we realized we could get another one, and we were trying to get Navi River, and it did show that there was a time for it, but every time we clicked on it, it showed, like, I think one time we managed to click on it, and it showed the confirmation page, and then it wasn't listed there. Like, it just lied to us. So there was some technical difficulty around that one. I don't know if lots of people were trying at the same time or if it never really existed in the first place, but it was just a strange little glitch right there right away. But it meant that we kept trying, because what did we need another lightning lane for? We didn't need to go on the safari again. We didn't need to go on Everest again. It was only a couple hours till the park was closing. You know, we got there at 5, closed at 8. So we were just trying. We were just seeing what was available. Nothing else was really available either. And then when we were done with Everest, we made our way over to Dino. Our lightning lane was at 7 p.m. for that one. But by the time we got there, it was like 6:35 or something like that. And it only had a 20-minute standby. So we were like, well, let's just ride it twice in a row. So we got in the standby lane, went through the standby lane. It took like 13 minutes. It was like less time than it was even advertised. It was great. We hopped on the ride, did the whole ride, came back around to where the get off your car section was. And there was one car in front of us that was still trying to get out, and then our car was waiting behind them. And they shut the whole ride down. Didn't say why, evacuated the whole building, evacuated the car in front of us, and just our car, 12 of us sitting in that car, just waiting for nothing. And they were like, just hold on a second. And they gave us no explanation. Some guy took his phone out to try to start making a phone call, and they told him to put his phone away. They were like, when the ride breaks down, we have a policy, you can't have your phone out, so put it away.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And they were very clear that we would get a multi-experience pass to use anywhere in the park when we got off. But we were waiting there about half an hour before they actually managed to get us off. And we had the lightning lane that we were supposed to use after, which had then also converted itself into a multi-experience pass. So by the time we did get off, which I think it was about 7:15 or so, we had 2 multi-experience passes to use in the next 45 minutes, half an hour. And they did mention, if you were leaving the park, because they knew it was about to be closed, go talk to the guest experience team at the blue umbrella booths and see what they can do for you to change that around. And so we went and we told the guest experience booth, and we were like, we've done everything. The only thing we couldn't get on was Navi, because there isn't one, and you're closing. And they were like, oh, well, you still have more days in your trip. So they just moved one of our multi-experience passes to the next day for Epcot. Yeah, so that was
Perfect.
super, super cool. Already teeing up the next day. Great. And then the second one that we had, they forced it into being a Navi one. And we just went on Navi right away. So we got to go, and by then it was sunset. So we walked up to Navi and it was dark and all the, black light reactive, fun colored lights were on. It was so beautiful. It was a little dusk still, so still a little light, but we went on the ride and then got off the ride and it looked like we never left the ride. Like the whole area is so lit up and so fun. I was interested. We didn't wait, but people were getting their photo taken at that time. And I wondered what that would look like because they must have a flash or something. And I wonder what that would have done to the nighttime. So I looked that up. I have no idea. I got some cool pictures on my phone for that.
That's awesome. I've always wanted to see it at night, but it really is only this time of year that you can see it.
Real specific. Yeah. And then if you don't want to get caught in a hurricane, then you don't come this time of the year.
So funny.
Yeah. So we didn't go to Flight of Passage. My mom was still feeling a bit like she was on a boat. So she was like, I don't know that I want to do that when I feel like this. It wasn't sick or anything. It was just, maybe we'll skip it this time. So we did skip that this time. But then we went back to the bus stop. Of course, during all of this, the Halloween party is happening over at Magic Kingdom, which is where everybody actually is. So like I said, everything was empty. We got back to the bus stop. The bus was waiting right there when we showed up to the bus stop. Nice. Didn't even have to wait.
Amazing.
And then another 20-minute bus ride, and we got back to the resort. We walked through the little dining hall that's there. Just to see what our potential options were if we did want to use it. Got another Powerade and a little bagel for me to eat with my medicine in the morning. And we're all wrapped up and ready for bed by 9:30 that day. So it's like a chaos day, but all good.
I actually think y'all had a better experience not going to the Halloween party because when there's a hurricane and they let people go to the party, it is so crowded.
It's too busy.
There's too many people there. They let more people in than usual. And so y'all got a great park experience where it wasn't busy. It probably wasn't stressful. Yeah.
It wasn't at all. Yeah.
And as opposed to a really, really busy party. So
and the pass was about the same. The cost of the party ticket versus that single day Animal Kingdom was $10 difference or something. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I've been to a party where because there had been a hurricane and they let people in, and it was just not as fun because it almost felt like a really busy Magic Kingdom day. So,
yeah. Plus, you can't get lightning lanes, so then it's even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I think y'all did well.
Thank you. We thought so too. And then when we went to sleep, slept great, very tired, woke up. Saturday rolled around, which was the only day of all of the days of this trip that didn't get rescheduled. Saturday just did what we always were planning for Saturday to do. We did end up doing more than we had planned to do on Saturday throughout the day, I'll tell you. But technically speaking, we hadn't had to touch anything this day.
That's great.
So it was good. So you had previously gotten us a dinner reservation at Space 220, which was, I think, around 6 p.m. We didn't end up going. Sorry.
That's okay.
We just changed our mind, just decided didn't.
Yeah.
And then, but you had also gotten us a 9:15 Le Creperie reservation for breakfast. I know they have the walkthrough window, but I'm actually so glad that we just sat down. I don't think we would have had to wait if we had just gone to walk up to sit down either, but the walk up line outside was super long that morning. So I was happy with that choice, and it was great. From the hotel, we got the bus to Epcot at 8:43, and at that point I had realized I could see the times of the bus through my hotel reservation section on the app, which I did not know from last time, but I just randomly found it this time. Maybe because it's only the bus, it was more obvious or something, but it was cool to be able to see from our room, like, can we just go real quick, or do we need to wait 10 minutes or something? So that did help us a little. I don't think we ever really decided to wait in the room because it was too far away, though. It was all pretty close times. That bus took 23 minutes, so it was actually a little bit of a longer bus to get to Epcot than it was to Animal Kingdom, which is weird because geographically that doesn't make sense. But
it's just the way the roads are.
Yeah, it must just be. So that was fine, though. And we got to a crepes reservation. And we had been planning, since we had that extra multi-experience, to use it on Remy's because we weren't sure we were going to be able to get that the next time a lightning lane was available for us to use. You had also gotten us a Frozen lightning lane and Spaceship Earth and Living with the Land were the three we went into the day with. The options there are not that great, but also that's because the rides there are not that great.
Yeah.
I want them to be greater than they are, but they're just not. So when it's like pick three, it's like there's only three. So we're just not big show people either. Like you can use them a lot for some show related things, and we just didn't care. Yeah. So we were fine with those three, but the first one it was Frozen. It wasn't till 11:15. And so since we got done eating by 10. It was super early. But we were hoping that we would get to go on Remy's right away because it was just right there, right next to where breakfast was, and it was closed. And it would continue to be off and on closed throughout the day. And we would continue to try and walk down to France, and then it would be closed by the time we got there. And then we would leave, and it would open for 20 minutes. And then we would go back to France, and it would close.
That's crazy.
So we never ended up going on Remy's randomly, but we kept trying at random. We had a lot of downtime this day because we were just taking it easy, which was fine on us. But
yeah.
So we went up to the land area and we did Soarin' because it only had a 15-minute standby wait. And then our Living with the Land wasn't until later. It was after Frozen. I think it was about like 12:15. So we went around to Mexico. From there, why not? You had tried so nicely. You mentioned in an email once to us, you're like, I got you these times so that you're not having to walk all the way across the park. And we're like, doesn't matter. We're walking all the way across the park anyway. We're doing it. It's just happening. We're not scared of a walk. I should start including in my podcast notes how many steps each day rounded out to be. But so we went to Mexico and went on Los Caballeros, which is so funny because it's a ride. It's full on pirates, and they just don't list it as one. And so there's never a line. You just walk right on, and it's great, but totally worth it. And then we went to Frozen, relatively close, which was the first time that I had been on that ride because last year it was doing what Remy's was doing this day the whole time we were there. So that was really cute. I really liked it, actually. I like the Frozen movies pretty well, and there wasn't as many children waiting in line for it at that time as I had expected. It was a good mix of people. It wasn't too kid-oriented. If anything, it felt kind of slow. It was very energetic because the music to that show is so energetic, but then the ride wasn't as fast as the music was.
Yeah.
It's we're getting pushed back by Elsa's magic really slow. But it was still cute, and it was fun how the boat goes backwards. There's not any other ride, I think, that does that, so it's kind of fun in that way.
Yeah, it's fun. I like it.
Yeah. And then we decided to backtrack and go back to the land because we had our Living with the Land thing, which us also didn't need pretty much always, as far as I can tell, just walk right on that ride. But we did. We used it. And then we went to Soarin' again because we had gotten the Soaring Lightning Lane after using our Frozen one. Since what else are we going to do?
Yeah.
And we like Soarin' a lot because we know it from Disneyland. It's slightly different, of course, but it's one of our favorites. So we did that. Those two back to back. It was great. And then we walked on Spaceship Earth. I think it was about this time that we decided we weren't going to use our dinner reservation. So we decided to walk around that area knowing we wouldn't really be back. We went through the little shop there to try to look at all the new stuff. They already are having a tiny section, but still a section of Christmas things out, along with the larger Halloween stuff. So it was cool to see little stuff I didn't even know was out yet, kind of thing. Yeah, and then we just walked on Spaceship Earth, which I had been making jokes about since last year because I actually fell asleep on it at some point last year. I think we went on it kind of late at night, maybe after we ate, and I was just tired. And I straight up took a nap. And then I saw a video online once that was like, what ride at Disney World would you stay on and never get off of for 24 hours straight and then win $1 million because you did it, right? And I was like, well, I guess Spaceship Earth because I'll just sleep for 24 hours.
That's not a bad ride. It's dark.
I thought it was a good choice. Yeah. I like it. And it's not like some rides when they're dark like that, when the boarding and deboarding area, it gets really bright again so you can see. This one is not that bad. It's kind of consistent.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was fun. And then our Guardians single pass was at 1 p.m. And so we were just by about that time, that's where we were. And we got in line for that. And it's a pretty good, quick 15-minute wait after that single pass. So it wasn't like a straight walk on there, but it was much faster, of course, than it would have been. Yeah. And then this was another funny encounter because I kind of didn't notice, but I kind of did at one point. When you're going through Guardians, you are circling around the Earth, trying to go back to the Earth is right, the story that they're telling you. And I felt like I couldn't see the Earth ball while I was riding the ride. And we had waited for row 9 so that we would be in the front of the back car so that when we got pushed back at the beginning, we saw the graphic the whole way back, right? And I didn't realize for another little while, but it's because our car got stuck facing backwards for the entire ride. So we never retwisted back around to face regular. Only our last car 9 in the whole train, it just didn't re-swivel, which meant that when they brought us back and we were going to get off, they brought us back onto the maintenance track, let everyone else off, but they couldn't get our seatbelts to unbuckle until they turned our car around. So the 4 of us in that last car were stuck there for another 15 minutes, just like had happened on Dino the night before.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did they let y'all ride it again?
No, they didn't let us ride it again. They gave us another multi-experience pass. Which it's like, I didn't quite realize until we tried to think about what we were going to use it for, but that's not really fair. Like, I paid money for the single fancy ride pass, and you're just giving me generic Soarin' as a compensation for getting stuck on this one. Yeah, so it was kind of, I didn't think about it too hard at the time, but after I thought about it for a while and here a few days later, I was like, that's not what you should have done. I don't think.
No. And just for anyone listening, if this happens to you, there's 2 things you can do. Either just go back to the front of the line to the not the queue line, the other line, and tell them what happened and be like, we got this pass, but the ride broke and we didn't get to experience. And sometimes they'll just let you in because technically they can do whatever they want. Or go to a Blue Umbrella and see what they can do for you. Because yeah, that's not fair. I'm like, no, I don't want to ride Soarin'.
Yeah, it wasn't. And also by that point we had done everything that we wanted. And so we did actually end up going to another Blue Umbrella because we were like, what are we going to do? We weren't even going to stay here. We had actually decided at that point that we wanted to try to go to Magic Kingdom that night. We just decided, let's just hop over there. I think that it was, I can't remember why at the time. Maybe my notes will tell me later why we decided that, but we just decided that's what we're doing now. And so we weren't even going to use it at Epcot. And so we were like, well, we learned from last night that they can transfer it to a different park. So let's just go ask them again. And we did. And we told them, and they were like, when you get to Magic Kingdom, ask the Magic Kingdom guest experience people. I don't know if maybe their system was down or something right then, but they couldn't actually help us transfer it at Epcot, even though they had an Animal Kingdom. I don't know. Weird.
I wonder too if because of the hurricane, if just systems were not running as they should be, and that's why rides might have been going down, like generators.
Possible.
Yeah.
Possible. Yeah. But we did still, I never made it to Japan last year, so we made our way back around the world to go to Japan and stopped on the way at Germany, which Mom is obsessed with all of the snacks in Germany. She's a big caramel girly. And so she got the caramel shortbread bar. She says it's the best thing that she's ever eaten in her entire life. She also got, there's like a cookie sandwich with some kind of caramel cream. It's like gingerbread cookies or something. And she thought the cookies were going to be hard, but they were super soft, and she loved that. I got the fried, it's like fried ravioli noodles, but they're not stuffed with anything. So it's like nacho, but pasta. And that was in Italy.
Yummy.
Yeah, it was really good. So it had like ragu meat sauce with just a little couple shreds of cheese, and then you used the chips to eat the meat, the pasta chips. And it was really good. I was very happy with that choice. And then this was another time when we tried to make our way back to Rennie's, and then right as we showed up, it died on us again. So it was great. Kind of spent some time at that time trying to figure out how long we were going to try to wait for it, since we'd done everything else. It was the only thing we were waiting on, and we waited maybe half an hour, and we were like, we're not going to waste our day doing this. Don't have any idea to know how long it'll take. So we just decided to leave. We went to the bus stops again and just went back to our hotel room. Because I guess there's not a bus from the parks to Springs. Like, we couldn't find a bus from Epcot to Springs.
There should be a bus from every park to go to Disney Springs.
That's what I thought too, but it was straight up not on the bus, like the list of buses on the board. So we ended up going back to the hotel room first, which was fine. And then as we got to the bus stop for our hotel, Remy's opened. And we were like, no, we're not doing it. We just can't. So we didn't do it. # forget it. Yeah, but then we just went back to the room. I didn't keep notes about how long it took, but it wasn't significant, so it was fine.
Yeah.
But what was significant was that even though we got on the bus from our North Depot to Springs very quickly, it took 30 plus minutes on the bus to get from that stop to Springs, because it stopped at every other stop around Riverside and French Quarter before it went to Springs. So that was the worst, time sitting on the bus that we had really had to deal with. Which, again, it's not like the end of the world, but it's also not great, slightly wasteful,
For sure.
But I think one of the reasons we wanted to do this was because it was very cold. That it was humid. It's always humid in Florida, but it was not warm enough with the humidity, I guess, to offset the ice cold AC they blast in your face every time you enter a ride.
Yes.
So all of our outfits we had picked were tank top outfits, and I was just freezing. So it's like, I really need to buy a jacket. Plus I wanted merch anyway. Everybody wants a merch thing, but I just hadn't seen anything in any of the stores yet that I was super called to. So I was like, well, let's just go to Springs, because we know they've got everything there. So if I can't make a decision there, I won't be getting anything at all. um, yeah, and I did. I got a black zipper hoodie for Haunted Mansion, and it has like white and that ghostly light blue color that they're kind of into this year. And it has the Hatbox Ghost on the chest patch, and it says "Welcome, foolish mortals" on the back. So very excited about that jacket.
That's cute.
And then I also got a gift for one of my friends who just got married it was Labor Day, and she was going to meet us originally in our original plan, but she lives in Fort Myers, which got pretty hit by the hurricane. They were out of power for about 2 days, I think. Yeah, so she and her husband is a firefighter, and so he is part of his duty to go and help the city when natural disasters like that happen, so they were unable to come and meet us. So I got her a little gift.
Nice.
Yeah. And then, also, I had never really understood in all of my Disneying time what the deal with pin trading was. Like, I just hadn't bothered to look it up. I just didn't really care. But at this point, I kind of last year, maybe the time at Disneyland before that, was starting to get into the pin vibes, and I didn't know, but apparently all you have to do is walk up when you see the little like Mickey pin board and say, "Can I see your pins?" And it's just a 1-for-1 trade, and there are no rules.
Yeah.
I thought that they were looking for like special pins, and like unless you had a limited edition one, you could only trade a limited edition for a limited edition. But it's actually like supposed to be between cast members and guests. So the cast members get special pins somewhere in their world, and they put them available for trading on the pin board, and they're indicated with a little smaller silver Mickey on the pin that's not the main subject of the pin. It'll just be hidden on there. And so I was so excited. I got so many cool new pins this time because I had like it was just the Mickey silhouette, but it was filled in with some villains that I got last year. And I had one of Scar and one of Jafar. I just don't really care about them.
Yeah.
But I was wearing them on my backpack this time because I brought pins that I didn't super care if something happened to them while I was traveling.
Yes.
And I came out with like 4 new pins that I was like, I'm taking all of these. I have a Cinderella one. I have a limited edition Pascal one now. I got just a super simple, it's like a circle with just a turquoise Mickey head inside, but it's one of the cast member ones. So I was losing my mind with the pin trading this trip. I can't even remember why I decided to do it. I think I just maybe saw someone else doing it, or I just like asked, and then the cast member was just, it was while we were waiting at one of those blue guest experience tents at Animal Kingdom is when I first saw some kid just came up and just like swapped him out and then left. He didn't even say anything. I was like, what's happening here? He's just stealing stuff. But no, it was great. So
yeah, it's so
definitely
fun.
Get into pin trading if you're not into pin trading. Easy. Especially with duplicates, since I get a lot of the blind bag kinds, like just do it. But then right as we got to the Disney Springs pin trading area, it started pouring down rain, just like regular Orlando pouring down rain at 3 p.m. kind of rain. And I was a little bit like, I thought it was supposed to be nice after a hurricane.
Right, that's what they say.
But then no, it was just regular. And then there's this really particular pair of ears I had seen online. Technically, they came out in like March, so didn't have super high hopes of them still being there, but I thought maybe. And they're, I don't know how you say it, Aulani, the Hawaii resort specific, but they were selling them at the Polynesian Hotel. And so we popped over real quick we took the bus from Springs to the Polynesian instead, got off there for a minute, and then decided to take the monorail from the Polynesian to Magic Kingdom. I did not find my special ears. It was very sad.
That's my favorite gift shop. So that Polynesian gift shop.
It's really cute.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It was and it was the first time we had walked inside the Polynesian. We'd stayed at Grand Floridian before, but we just didn't resort hop much. It was so cute in there. I really liked the vibes. So that was a fun little quick pit stop. Yeah, we did get the monorail to Magic Kingdom at 7, although I swear the monorail security entrance was having some kind of technological glitch because every person that went through was getting bag checked. It wasn't just simple. It was everybody. It was my mom didn't, but I did. And then the group behind us, one of their people got it. The group behind them, one of their people got it. It's like, at some point, this is not just everybody bringing a gun into the park.
Right.
This is your system. But it was fine. It was fine. Whatever. We swapped all of our multi-passes that we were trying to figure out at Epcot over to Magic Kingdom things. We got Space Mountain, Haunted Mansion, and Pirates, all at relatively the same times between 8:30 and 10. So it was a little bit later than when we got there. But we went to People Mover first because that always seems like a good way to start Magic Kingdom to us. It's just like, let's get the lay of the land from up high or something. And again, it's never got away. It was listed at 15 minutes. It took us 7. So it's like, it's great. These wait times are really accurate and helpful for us right now. But then our Space Lightning Lane was earliest, and so we went on that immediately after. And then this was something I had wanted to get last year, and I didn't get it. We were a little bit distressed because all of the foods that we had planned to get at Magic Kingdom were Halloween party foods, and we had not looked into what the regular time foods were. And so when we came here at dinner time and I was needing to take my medicine with food again, we were like, I don't even know what there is to eat here. This is not the research that I did.
Right.
But last year I had wanted to get the cream cheese stuffed pretzel from the lunching pad there in Tomorrowland, and I was a little disappointed in it, actually. It was kind of sad. There wasn't as much cream cheese in it as I wanted, and the pretzel itself was just kind of tough. So it's fine if you just want a snack, but I should have just gotten a churro. It would have been good.
That's a bummer. I think if they cook it too long, it like cooks the cream cheese out.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Like, it gets just into the bread flavor instead of like a tube of cream cheese or something in there. Yeah. But then my mom had actually, one of the Halloween party foods she wanted to try was the buffalo chicken hand pie, which we could not get. But at Pinocchio's, whatever the rest of that name is. Yeah, I can't remember what it is, but Village House, I think. Yeah, okay, I got there. They had a buffalo chicken flatbread, so it was like same.
Yeah.
So she got that, and she said she really liked it. She would definitely get that one again. And then we went on Haunted, and again, all these lightning lanes, just like no wait after the lightning lane. So I didn't even keep track of how long we were in line for because it was not significant. 5 minutes. And then we got off of Haunted and we're walking to Pirates while the fireworks was happening, which started at 8:30, I think, around that time. And it was actually kind of a decent view of the fireworks themselves from that kind of area of the park there, just by the Liberty boat. So that was kind of
That's cute, a great place. If you don't care about the projections,
Right. We never ended up seeing the projections, which, like, I maybe would have cared, but it just didn't work out, so I wasn't that hurt, you know? So it was cute to see the fireworks a couple of times while we were walking around. But then as we were pulling up to Pirates, I think our lightning lane for it was something where it was like the lightning lane for it was at like 9:15, but then as the fireworks were ending, everybody was rushing straight to Pirates because it was only a 15-minute listed wait. So we decided to just walk on it first before going on the lightning lane for it. And we did, and it was fine. Walked right on. Didn't get caught in the swell of people rushing immediately to Pirates.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then we had gotten a second multi-pass for Big Thunder after we used Haunted, and we went on that at 9:15-ish. And then I guess our Haunted lightning lane wasn't until 9:30, or we got a second one or something. And so we went back there at 9:30. And then somehow, just randomly, while we were waiting in line for one of those, I forgot to write down which one it was. We managed to get a single pass to Seven Dwarfs for 9:30.
Nice.
So it's like the end of the day. Like I didn't even assume we were going to get it. It was showing sold out all day. We just randomly totally were able to get a single pass for 9:30. And so that was the last thing that we did. We just got it, hopped right on, and again, no wait at all when you use those single pass there. So all quick and easy. And then took the bus back. It was sitting there. So the bus, interesting, leaving Magic Kingdom, they have, because I think that they know that it's the only way that people are getting back to that resort, they just have a constant stream of buses leaving at that night. So we got on the third bus, but it was still like a 10-minute wait to even get on that third bus. So
that's great.
Way great. And again, we got a seat too. We didn't even have to stand. So it was A+.
Y'all always have good bus luck. I'm jealous. I am jealous. Because I have the worst bus luck.
I know you do.
Every time.
I know. But then, so it was a little bit later that day. By the time we were all wrapping up for bed, it was about 10:30 and all that. So still another great day. Not exactly the day that we had planned, but no significant issues. At some point, I do think we had gone to the guest experience in Magic Kingdom and asked them to move those multi-experience passes over. So I think maybe one of those was for Haunted, and one of them was Big Thunder or something in there. But yeah, nice. It was all good, easy peasy. And then Sunday was the day that was originally going to be our super relaxed, go to Disney Springs for half a day and then fly home later that day. But due to the 24-hour shift from the hurricane, this was now a full park day for us. And we weren't flying home until Monday morning with the way that our flights got rearranged. So we planned to go to Hollywood Studios first. At some point, we made all of these changes over with our, it was very easy to change the day that the multi-pass was for. Originally, our Friday multi-pass was for Hollywood Studios, and we were able to just not have that for that day at all and just move it over to Sunday in the app. It's very, very straightforward, very easy. I can't remember anything like that before. Even if it was there, I just didn't use it. I never have had my trip so significantly changed.
Right. Yeah. That's not often.
No, but is very easy. Just pick the new date that you want to change it to, and they just let you. So
that's really cool. Good to know.
Yeah, it was really good. But yeah, so we had a late start this day since we'd had a late night the night before, and Hollywood Studios. I guess maybe there was early entry at 8:30, but we were like not even trying to get there before 10 if we wanted. We had a rise that started at 9:20, I think, and ended at 10:20, that hour window that they give you. So that was like the first thing we were trying to make in the day. We always want to get a Starbucks. We don't dislike Joffrey's, but Joffrey's doesn't have chai, and I'm a big chai girl, and so I needed my chai at this point. I was trying to avoid milk a little bit because of being unwell just a few days prior.
Yeah.
But by this point, it had been enough days. I was like, give me milk. So we took the bus from the North Depot to Hollywood Studios at 8:50, got there at 9:15. So it was a slightly longer bus ride again for some reason. And then we went just straight to the Trolley Car Cafe, which is the Starbucks in Hollywood Studios. But it was a 30-minute wait.
It always is.
Kind of long and aggressive. I know it was first thing in the morning, but I was like, what? Why? And
it always, I think that's like one of the busiest Starbucks like in the United States.
Seriously, just that one in Hollywood Studios. Oh, sweet. Good to know. I did not know that.
Yeah.
It just showed up. Yeah, it was really bad. But we noticed a tiny bit of a hack that I would recommend if anybody can deal. And that is that the iced drinks were not taking that long. It's the blended Frappuccino crazy stuff that takes 800 years. It's probably because they have to clean it out every time and all of this. Like, it's very good that they're being sanitary. Right. But does cause the wait to get extreme. And there were people who only got ice drinks that were in and out real quick. Waiting actually in line to order, I only think took us about 20 minutes, which is not the end of the world.
Mm.
But then the drink making took like another 15, which was for Starbucks kind of excessive.
Yeah, sure.
Right. But we got it. It was fine. But we hadn't really expected it to be that long, right? And so by the time all of this was happening, we were like, we got to get to Rise. Like, it's not close. So we jetted over to Rise. Of course, you can't like drink while you're run walking across the park. So we show up to Rise, and I just chugged my whole chai standing, like walking through the line. There was no line. Again, they told us from entering when we scanned our lightning lanes in. We did make it on time. It was like at time, but they don't care. They're fine, you know. And she told us, she's like, you have 15 minutes from now to finish those drinks she saw we were bringing in with us. We did not have 15 minutes. We had 3 minutes, because that's how long it took us to walk through the real quick lightning lane line. And we just got straight into the room with Ray, like right away. So it was like, go.
That's really cool though.
It was great that it was such a quick onboarding process for the ride, and terrible choice to go to Starbucks first. And it was fine. We sorted it out. Oh shoot, I had forgotten to mention too, we had decided this day that we were going to try at 7 a.m, because that was also when we had to check in for our flights, to get into the virtual queue for Tiana for Magic Kingdom, because now that you don't have to wait until after 2 p.m. to park hop, we were like, whatever, we'll just like see what group we get and see what happens. And we actually did get group 54, which is not a super late group, so we were kind of having to really monitor what they were doing there with how quickly new groups were being called and such. And at that point, when we got off of Rise, it was already at group 37.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I don't know if they just called a huge chunk at once or but so we were like, well, I guess our next lightning lane wasn't until, I think I have it listed there, 105 was our Tower of Terror lightning lanes. And we did get a Slinky Dog also for some time later in the afternoon, I think that way. Yeah, and so we decided right after Rise, we just got to the park, got our crazy Starbucks, got on Rise, and we just took the bus to Magic Kingdom. Like, peace, going.
Yeah.
Like a ton of walk. And the buses from Hollywood Studios are also not close to the park, because you have to walk past Skyliner. Oh, lots of steps this day. Again, we're a little bit of a chaos, but we don't mind. Like, we just want to go from point A to point B, and we're there for the rides. You know, the ambiance is great too, but we're fine to keep it active and keep it going.
Well, and that's the good thing about going on trips with just 2 people and adults. So you can do whatever you want, and the walking's fine.
Go.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it definitely makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
So we made our way over to Magic Kingdom, got to the station, and by that point, Tiana was at group 43. Again, we were 54, so we're like, okay, coming up. The bus showed up in 5 minutes, only took a 10-minute bus ride, very quick ride from Hollywood Studios to Magic Kingdom. We were in Magic Kingdom by 11:40, and as soon as we got in, Tiana broke. And while we were trying to find what else we should do, Little Mermaid was also broke. And Haunted was broken, and Astro Orbiters was broken.
Oh my god!
So, like you kind of mentioned earlier, at this point we were like, "Is there some hurricane-caused system out?" Like that's half the park is closed all at the same time. And of course, it meant that everything else in the park had a 1,000,000-hour-long wait, because that's where they all funnel to when everything's closed. Makes sense. But my mom got some pizza spring rolls at a little cart that's kind of between Adventureland and Main Street area. And we decided to go to the Enchanted Tiki Room for the very first time. Also, like I said, we're not show people. We don't care. But I was like, I don't know, sounds dark and quiet. So let's go. And we were both sort of like, why is this still here? It seems like they could be doing something else with this area. I mean, it's cute. It's old school, right? But it was mostly just something for us to do for 20 minutes while we
Yeah.
waited.
It's there
And
because Walt designed it and it's very Walt. So that's why it's there.
we love you, Walt. We love you. You've got great ideas.
Yeah. At the time, it was very ahead of its time.
Advanced. Yes, yes. But then when we got out of that, when we were waiting in line to get for the tiki room, my mom threw away her spring roll basket as we entered the line, and the cast member asked us, like, why didn't you bring any for me? And then he learned that we got the pizza ones, and he said, oh, that's the wrong choice anyway. The cheeseburger ones are where it's at. So we never got around to trying the cheeseburger, but apparently, hot take,
They're
pizza
so
bad,
good.
cheeseburger good.
They're my favorite. I get them every time.
Really?
Oh,
That's
so
fun.
good.
Yeah. But then, yeah, when we got out of the tiki room, Tiana still wasn't fixed, and it was 12:10. So we went through the Main Street shops just to kill some more time. And by 12:50, Haunted and Astro Orbiters had fixed themselves, but the others were all still down, including Tiana's. So we were like, well, we gotta go. We have the other lightning lanes over there. So we left and took the bus back to Hollywood Studios, got a quick bus again. And then my mom and I have this special thing that we do because my mom refuses to go on Tower of Terror, and it is my favorite ride. So we both have the lightning lane, and I just swap magic bands and go through twice.
That's a great move.
It was excellent. And she got a good seat on the benches that are there right after you get off the ride. So she was able to wait inside and not die of heat exhaustion or anything. Have a little break. So yeah, we did that with no problem. That's where I got my limited edition Pascal pin from the Pin Traders, which is there in the back of the haunted gift shop. And then she had been poking around the app and stuff while I was off doing that errand, and we forgot / we realized that Rock and Roller Coaster had a single rider line. So we decided to hop in that, and we waited about 15 minutes in line, and we got put on one roller coaster after each other. So it was very quick, super
Nice.
Great. Again, adults, 2 of us, just do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And then we had a Smuggler's Lightning Lane at 2:30, and right as we got in line for that, we got called for Tiana, and it said return by 4. And we were like, oh, shoot, okay, gotta go now. But we did our Smugglers, and this is the first time that the bus failed us. Right here, as we got called for our Tianas, we got back to the bus at 3:25. Again, if there had been a bus there, it would have been a 10-minute ride, and we would have been probably to Tiana's like at 4. It would have been fine. But the midday bus took 35 minutes to arrive. We were waiting just in the bus line for 35 minutes when all of that good bus karma just came crashing down.
Oh, the worst.
Yeah. And then I was looking up at some point. I'm like, how often are these buses supposed to come? And they're supposed to come every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So even though we were the first people in line, if the bus had just left, that was still basically 2 buses almost that should have come by the time one managed to get their way there. Yeah. So I don't know, but that was rude. We didn't get on the bus until 4. And so we didn't get to the park until 4:10, walk through the security, blah, blah, blah. And we got to Tiana's at 4:25. And we're like, we're just not even going to, I went in, I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to scan it, pretend like I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
But my mom was like, no, let's just like say something. And so she walked up and she was, oh, sorry, we're a little late. They did not care. It did not matter. Not even a little bit. Apparently, I guess it's a courtesy, come within an hour when you're called, but they didn't care. The main thing was that after we had just waited, then we were waiting in line for Tiana for an hour.
Wow.
After we got in. Yeah.
That's what happens when the ride breaks down.
when it breaks down and when they let people in after their hour's been called. Like, I'm grateful for it because I still got to go, but also we don't wait in lines as experienced by the entire rest of the trip, and the way that we generally will hop around so that we don't have to wait in a line.
Mhm.
But it was an hour-long line after our group was called. And we were 54. I think they were calling up to 72 or 73 by the time we really got there. So, yeah.
So technically with a virtual queue, as long as you cannot check in early, but you can check in anytime after.
Is that true?
Yeah, it can be that night. If you just walk up and you're like, we weren't here, yada, yada, they don't care. They're like, come on in. Yeah.
That's good to know. I mean, it's better than just being like, nope, you can't. Like,
I mean, they want everyone to be happy, so they keep coming back.
right. But it was excessively long of a wait after that point.
Did y'all like it though?
Yeah, it was cute. So I didn't really know what to expect. I had been intentionally trying to avoid any kind of spoilers that might exist somewhere. I've been super behind on listening to the podcast because of that.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. My mom had a thought an hour or so after that. She said it felt more like a sequel to the movie than it was like describing what happened in the movie. And some of the like clips that are in there have some animation that look like what Disney TV animations look like. So it looked like maybe they were going to be trying to do TV shorts like they did with Tangled or something related to it. Yeah. So it was not what I expected it to be. At one point during the line, you're still walking through what the like mines from Splash.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought maybe that they would allude to that in the story somehow if they're not going to change it out, but they never did. So there's just a random section of the line that doesn't make sense. It's like, just put a different poster up. It's fine.
Right.
But no, just say like, this is the wine cellar. I don't know. Like,
right.
You could change it easy. And so it was fine. I think I hoped that it would be better than it was, but it was still very cute. Also, for how much they hyped up the party that we were collecting all of these friends to go play at, you're only in the party scene for like 5 seconds before you're on to the next scene. I feel like the party scene could have spent a little longer in that area to experience it all. Just some thoughts.
Yeah. It's not perfect. It is beautiful though.
It's very, very pretty.
Yeah.
Yes. I recently have been getting into like indoor plants, plant lady as a millennial here. And so seeing all of her garden and stuff on the outside of the ride was really cute too. Yeah, there was a couple spots waiting in that hour-long line that definitely could have used a couple more fans, but in the grand scheme, it was not that horrible of a ride. That's something that we noticed last time too, that Disney World is much better about keeping their lines as shady and as cool as they can. If you go to Disneyland in the super hot months, it is just super hot. Yeah. They just don't care. Yeah.
Okay, let's get real. When was the last time you got to feel like a child again? For a lot of people, it's been a really long time, and with all the craziness in the world right now, we all need to escape reality for just a little bit. I would love to help you have that childlike feeling again, whether it be on a couple's trip, a girl's trip, or a trip with your family. Right now, I am booking Disney Park vacations through 2025 and Disney cruises through May of 2026. Let's get a magical vacation on the calendar for you. All of my services are complimentary to my clients, so there really is no reason not to take advantage of my expert experience. See the show notes for a quote form or email me at jenny@trolleylanetravel.com and let's make your travel dreams a reality.
We didn't get very wet. Did get some wet, but I feel like my memory of Splash Mountain was getting much more wet than we got this time. I know it's about the log balance, but even so, I was happy about that.
Agreed.
Yeah. And so then we went back out through Main Street, and I got a Dirt and Worms churro from one of the carts that was out there, and it was so good. I was very happy with that choice. And we had switched our multi-pass over and gotten a lightning lane for Small World, another Pirates, and Little Mermaid, which by then everything had reopened. Everything,
Nice.
from earlier in the morning was all closed, and by this point, 5:15 or so at night, everything was fine again. So then we went after eating. Sorry, we went on People Mover again because there was no line and we were waiting. And then we got some more Powerade, and it was about 6 p.m. So we went to the bathroom, which I had heard that the bathroom up by the Rapunzel Tower in Fantasyland was really good. And Mom had been like the night before or something. She said it was fine. But when I went at this time, it was horrible. So don't go at 6 p.m., I guess. It's the moral of the story. Maybe it's a good one sometimes, but it was awful that time.
Mhm.
And then we waited 7 minutes for the teacups because there's no line there too, which was great. And meandered over to Small World, so kind of back and forth around that little section, just looking at stuff. And we had gotten a single lightning lane for Tron at 8 p.m., which is Mom's new favorite. We always forget when we go on Space because Space is one of our favorites, possibly Mom's favorite at Land. It's just not the same at World.
Yeah.
I know the ride or the car itself is different, and that, but it's also the path that the roller coaster takes is just straight up not the same, and it feels slower than the one at Land. So
the
we
one
always think
is far superior. When we were there last year, all of us were like, "This is so much better."
it's so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have that association because, like I said, mostly been to Land.
Mhm.
And so we're like, gotta go on Space. And then we went and we were like, it's fine.
To me, the best part of Space Mountain is when you leave and you walk and you see the futuristic, in quotes. I love that part.
It's funny. Yeah, it's just kind of interesting. But I think that the Guardians ride in Epcot is closer to Disneyland's Space Mountain than Disney World Space Mountain is to the other Space Mountain.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. So then we went to Tron 8, did all that. Our Little Mermaid was for like 8:15, and I think we ended up getting on it at about 8:45 because we saw the fireworks again walking from Tron through to Little Mermaid area, which was a little bit of an interesting angle because you can see the two separate spaces where they send off the fireworks when you're walking down that path, but also they're like directly above you, so you're craning your neck to see them. But it's kind of fun. And of course there was no line on Little Mermaid because mostly it had been closed off and on all day. When we were waiting in line for Tron, it was actually closed again, and we thought we were going to maybe get another multi-experience pass or something, but we didn't. It was fine. And then again, we watched the fireworks because it didn't take that long. So the fireworks were still going on. We got off Little Mermaid and we watched them between Little Mermaid walking down to Pirates, kind of the same path that we had taken before, plus a little bit. And then again, same kind of situation where it was just a walk on. So we walked on, and then our lightning lane was a couple minutes later. But we decided that we were just going to end on Pirates. And so when we went back through and used our lightning lane, we actually the cast member asked us if we wanted the front row or the back row, and we got a front row on Pirates as the last thing that we did in the park.
That's
so that was great.
Fun.
Yeah. And then when we got to the bus station, they were again, because they know that's the only way that people are leaving to get to Riverside, there was just a bunch of buses. It was a slightly longer wait this time. There were I think there were 3 buses that were there, but there were a significant number of wheelchairs, and so they filled up much quicker. So we did have to wait a little bit for another one to come, but it was very quick and it was fine. We were back in our room by 10 to repack, and that everything that we did at Disney World this time.
A fun trip. So
Yeah.
the next morning, y'all took plush transportation again. Was that pickup in the morning easy?
Yeah, it was actually even easier than we thought. We assumed that they were going to pick us up at the lobby, which was not particularly close to where our room is.
Yeah.
The North Depot and the lobby one are north and south, essentially. So they're complete opposite. But my mom managed to text them and say, like, hey, we're over at the I think we were at the Acadia House, is the specific area there that we were in, and asked if they were able to come get us there. And he was actually already there. Because of the changing around of the times, we had asked to be picked up at 4:30, but originally it was maybe going to be 4 or something. But apparently at 3:30, he was there already.
Oh, wow.
Like, way earlier than we needed, but it was fine. So she texted, and he picked us up at 3:45 from the North Depot, essentially. So it was even easier. We didn't even have to walk all the way back to the lobby, and it was the normal 30-minute drive, no traffic, because it's early as crap in the morning. He was telling us on the way in that the worst thing that happened to Orlando because of the hurricane was the traffic of everybody getting in and out of the city from having evacuated. So he took us on the low roads, not whatever the main highway is, when he brought us there. I'm not sure if he was doing the same on the way back. I wasn't really paying attention. But he definitely was like super local and knew all of the special things, which I think was helpful, because if we had rented a car like we did last year, we wouldn't have known. We would just followed the GPS, and it could have been chaos for us.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. We decided to check our bags because, again, at this point, like, we'd been on the cruise. I did a whole trip of Disney, and I still had a work conference I was going to after this. So like, my bags are so full of stuff.
Yeah.
I can't anymore. But my mom and I were in different terminals. The airport is kind of strange there. And so I ended up in this like terminal annex, for lack of a better word, that you can't get to anything else from where the terminal I was. But she was in more of just the main airport terminals. So.
Did you fly JetBlue?
No.
Okay.
She was Alaska, and I was, I think, Delta, just between. Again, I was just going back to Miami, but she was going all the way back to Oregon. And so,
because I know JetBlue is in a separate terminal as well, because a lot of people from Boston fly JetBlue, because that's like, I guess their hub, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting because the Delta app, which is kind of how I learned about this, they have like the airport map in it now. So I was looking at everything on the map, and so I guess there's 4 of those sort of annex terminals that I was in one of, and then the main area. So Mom was in the main area, and I was off to the side over here. We played Pokemon Go, and there was no Pokemon Go in my annex. I was very upset.
That's kind of strange. My son plays Pokemon Go, and they're everywhere.
I know. No, they're everywhere in the main area, not in my little annex. There was like one Pokestop. This sucks.
They need to.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a little bit confusing about how all of that was working, but we both have Clear and TSA PreCheck. I don't think we're going to keep Clear. We don't find it that useful. It's helpful if you're going in and out of Orlando or Denver. We decided those are the 2 busiest ones, but we don't do that super often. So I don't think we'll keep it, but we tried to scan into that security area, and that's how we found out that she was like, your terminal here does not connect anywhere else.
Gotcha.
So yeah, but it was fine. And I arrived to Miami without incident to check in from my conference hotel. And Mom got back to Oregon about 1 p.m. her time. And I'm just trying to fly home to Salt Lake, where I'm located, here at about 6 p.m. today. I'm still in Miami right now. So
I know when you emailed me, I was like, oh, because when you said I could do earlier, I was like, that is really early on the West Coast.
No, I'm same time as you right now.
Yeah, so it worked out well.
Yeah. So it was a lot of chaos, a lot of fun, a lot of walking back and forth, but I'm so glad that we were able to squeeze it in after all, and that the hurricane didn't damage anybody too severely to have impacted that more than it already was.
For sure. I'm really glad y'all got to go, because there were When I was emailing with your mom, I was just like, oh my gosh.
She
I
sent you an
was
email at some
worried.
point, and she was like, just cancel the whole thing. And I didn't know she had sent that yet as you were sitting there on the island. And I was like, well, what if we just like go home on Monday super early instead of on Sunday? And I was like, then we could get 2 full park days
Yeah.
still. And she was like, unless was the next email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, she's like, I think we should just cancel. What do you think? And it's so hard because I don't like,
Yeah.
it's hard because I personally wouldn't have canceled, and Disney was so great about the refund. So even if it was a last minute cancellation, you were going to get refunded. So it was almost like keep it until the last second.
Last second. Yeah. Yeah.
But
So,
I'm
again,
so glad it all worked out. So
yeah, it's all fun.
let's talk about the fun stuff. What was your least magical moment of the trip?
The 35-minute bus wait.
Oh, it's so relatable. Those are always
Yeah,
my
I
least
know.
magical moments.
It was the worst. No, other than that, probably just the Halloween party being canceled and not being able to switch it over. But like you mentioned, it kind of worked out in our favor because we got to do this alternate, equally cool experience. So
Yeah, I just
somewhere
don't-
between those two.
because y'all been to the Halloween party, I just don't think it would have been as enjoyable because it would have been so crowded. So
And we had expectations from last year's that we assumed it would have been the same, and it wouldn't have, and that would have been worse. We mostly wanted to do it to try to get on Tiana's because we didn't think we were going to be able to get it any other way because we weren't starting at Magic Kingdom any other way. But then we got it anyway on that Sunday, and even with the ride breakdown, that still worked out.
it all worked out.
Yeah.
What was your most magical moment?
You know, the most magical thing for me is always just being there. Like, it's so hard to pick a single magical moment, but it's always just so uplifting. And after having been sick, just to be able to go at all, that everything was so smooth, really, once we got into Orlando, was probably the best thing that I could have asked for. Guardians is always a great ride. Tower of Terror, always a great ride, but I'm just glad that we got to go this time. That's the most magical thing for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on the show. You are always welcome to share your
tale. We're hoping to go to Disneyland next time. So next time might be a slightly closer to home episode for us. We'll see.
That would be exciting.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Jenny just hopping on real quick. I need your help. If you are traveling to Disney, any Disney park, any Disney cruise, I need you to come on the show. I want to talk with you about your trip. Make sure to go to the show notes and fill out the form for being a guest on the show. It's so much fun. It's so easy. And this is really the best souvenir you will have from your trip. You will have yourself retelling your story pretty much forever to get to listen to. And trust me, I've told many of my trip tales and I love going back and listening to them because it's crazy, but you will actually forget a lot about your trip. So let's prevent that from happening. Come on the show, share your trip tale, and have that little piece of your personal history forever. That's a wrap on today's show. As always, thanks for listening. Make sure to visit us on Instagram at Disney Travel Tales. If you're wanting to support the show, the best and easiest way to do that is to leave a 5-star positive review on Apple Podcasts. It's so easy and means the world to me. Can't wait to be back next week with you. So until then, this is Jenny, and may all your Disney travel dreams come true.